A very happy Thursday to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. Not a bad day across northern Michigan weather-wise. It was a little cooler, but some of us saw some sunshine earlier in the day, which sure was lovely, but now a lot of clouds have rolled in. And Joe, can we expect any rain with these clouds?
Yeah, I mean, later tonight in some sense, a few showers. Then tomorrow, we have a big area.
Right.
The further north you go, as you get up into the UP and Straits especially, that's where more of a all-day rain is expected. But if you're around Big Rapids, maybe Grayling, Clare, just a few showers tomorrow. So it kind of depends where you're at as far as that rain is concerned. And I know you have plans this weekend and hoping maybe the rain stays away. I still think Father's Day looks dry.
Okay.
So that's good news, I guess, for all the dads out there. We'll talk about that and have a look at that forecast in a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joe. Our top story tonight is an update on a story that we shared with you yesterday. An Antrim County man was arraigned this afternoon on felony charges related to the death of a missing Mansalona woman. The Antrim County prosecuting attorney said 41-year-old Kyle Meredith is a suspect in the death of Kimberly Rogers. Our Allie Baxter has been following this case and brings us the very latest.
We're on the record again in case 25-4794FY. Ms. Mistley, were you able to speak with Mr. Meredith about this case?
Kyle Meredith appeared in 86th District Court Thursday from the Antrim County Jail. According to the prosecuting attorney, Meredith was the boyfriend and fiancé of Kimberly Rogers.
Mr. Meredith is a prime suspect in causing the death of Kimberly Sue Rogers. At this time, we're awaiting autopsy results and further investigation.
Rogers was reported missing last week. Her body was found Tuesday night buried on Meredith's property.
Mr. Meredith has no prior criminal record. He's resided in his camper in Mansalona for the last decade and a half. He has resided in Grand Traverse County or Antrim County throughout his life.
Detectives involved with the investigation say Meredith lied to them multiple times when asked where his fiancée was. He eventually admitted to planting her belongings at another location in an attempt to obstruct the investigation, and then told detectives she was buried on his property. Rogers was found 2.5 feet below the ground with what detectives described as extensive trauma.
Based on the information I have at this time, signs are all pointing to a high likelihood that he's going to end up being charged with open murder once we get that information. He's also shown a willingness to deceive police officers and falsify evidence. Given all that, I think that he is a danger to the public.
That was Allie Baxter reporting. Now, these are the charges that Meredith is facing: concealing the death of an individual, tampering with evidence, and lying to a peace officer during a violent crime investigation. Those are felony charges. Meredith was also charged with failure to report the discovery of a dead body, which is a misdemeanor. Again, there were no open murder charges just yet. That may come after an autopsy is complete. His bond was set at $500,000, and Meredith is not allowed to have any contact with Rogers' family. This is a story that we will continue to give you updates on once we do know more. Well, there are 27,000 polluted sites in the state of Michigan, and that is only counting the ones that the state actually knows about. Roughly half of those are what's considered orphaned. They are abandoned by the polluter and left for taxpayers to pay to clean up. Well, that could change if a wide range of environmental bills make polluters pay bills become laws in Lansing. Here is Mark Shillette with more on that.
In some way, I'm related to just about everybody in the town of Pellston, Michigan. So to me, it's sitting here waiting for another family member to get sick and die from PFAS contamination.
Andrea Pierce knows well, and tragically, the impact of pollution. She came to testify in Lansing so that lawmakers knew it as well.
As legislators, I believe it is your job to work towards making laws and bills that will protect us in our communities.
A package of bills dubbed the Make Polluters Pay laws has been introduced in the state Senate.
We need an update to our pollution cleanup laws because our current risk-based standards are too risky for residents and too lax in ways that benefit the polluters.
The bills call for a wide range of changes in the state's environmental laws and policies in dealing with polluters, ranging from requiring polluters to actually clean up a site versus just restricting access.
We have over 4,500 of these sites.
And bills that require more transparency and longer statute of limitations for both the state and residents to go after polluters for both medical and environmental claims.
That kind of 30,000 foot view really is about bringing fairness and equity back to Michigan and addressing our legacy, industrial legacy past, and ensuring that polluters are paying for their messes.
Few would argue pollution is desirable, and no one deserves to get sick because of it. But not everyone is on board with what the bills call for.
These changes disincentivize businesses from participating in brownfield redevelopment by dramatically increasing cleanup costs, expanding liabilities, and introducing new reporting requirements.
While perhaps improving health and safety for residents, some question the message these changes send to businesses considering Michigan as a home.
Because they never know what they're going to get from our state. We swing back and forth. One minute we love them, the next minute we hate them. Other states are welcoming them in because they want the jobs, they want all these type of things.
For a big package of bills, the road ahead may be a long one. Those who oppose it don't see a problem with that. Those in favor say a change in the law, in the rules, in the direction our state is headed can't happen soon enough.
Really righting the ship, getting us on track, creating more transparency, more accountability, and less suffering. We have to work together. These are complex issues.
That was Mark Gillette reporting, and Mark is joining us live now for more on this story. And Mark, have these sort of measures to make polluters pay, have they been discussed or brought up in Lansing before?
Yes, they have. Similar bills to this one, or this package of bills, have been brought up in recent years. But actually, Michigan used to have make polluters pay laws, and some of these elements that are included in this package of bills up until about 1995. Then they were repealed and taken off the books. So Michigan does have experience with this. Since 1995, there has been an effort, or several efforts throughout the years, to try to get some of these measures back on the books. Some of those, which have failed and haven't made a lot of progress in either the House or the Senate, have been more restrictive, what I would say is restrictive, than the current version of bills. For example, cleanup, and these are big bills. Each of these bills is 20, 30 pages long. There's a lot of information in them. But for example, what do you consider cleaned up, a cleaned up site? There used to be standards that it had to be cleaned up at what is considered a residential level, which those standards are very high. So very clean. If you're going to build houses on it, it has to be at this level. And some of the bills in the recent years that have failed have also strived to reach that residential level, that residential threshold. These ones are not quite aiming that high. And I have a feeling that the group of lawmakers that put this together kind of looked at it and said, we haven't had a lot of success in recent years trying to hit this standard. So maybe let's go more to a commercial standard, to lower those standards a little bit. Maybe that will have better progression, making its way through the House and the Senate and to the governor's desk to potentially get signed into law. So this has been 30 years ago we had this, and many times over the past 30 years, they've tried to get these back into law, back on the books, back as policies and procedures that the state of Michigan follows. This version, with multiple bills that are going at it, it may be one of those things where lawmakers can kind of order a la carte on this, if you will. Like, okay, we like what's played out in Senate Bill 391. We're not so thrilled about these other ones. Let's work on this, breaking it down into small, palatable, manageable bites for lawmakers to get behind, and also by perhaps in some ways lowering those standards a little bit versus the unsuccessful attempts in the past.
Right. Well, despite lowering those standards, based on your story, it sounds like there are still plenty of lawmakers who are against this.
There are concerns from lawmakers, and there are concerns from industries. There are concerns about, well, what does this do for brownfield development and brownfield development funds? Does this make it more expensive to try to hit even higher standards of commercial standards? Is that going to deter companies and businesses from coming in and doing business in Michigan if they're worried about what has to happen on the tail end? Does this make redevelopment of sites that are orphaned, abandoned, polluted? Does that make that less appealing? So there are certainly some industries, like we heard testimony from the Michigan Manufacturers Association. There are industries out there that are like, we have questions and concerns about this. There are lawmakers that are saying, hey, even this could deter good actors, good companies, responsible companies from coming in and wanting to do business because there are just more restrictions, standards, and expectations, whether they have any intention of violating those standards or not. Restrictions and regulations, there will be some state that's like, come do whatever you like, right? And that could be more appealing to a company versus Michigan. So it's a finding that balance, that sweet spot of having the industry and yet also having these regulations and these policies and procedures in place. And that's a fine line.
And do we know, are these concerns that you are mentioning now from lawmakers now, are these kind of the reasons why these laws were repealed in 1995 to begin with?
I think that there were probably a host of reasons, but I do believe that there was an element involved in that of let's make Michigan an easier, better place to do business in. And now they didn't just say, hey, it's the Wild Wild West, do whatever you like.
Right.
There were other programs put in place, brownfield redevelopment, some at the time DEQ/Eagle restrictions and oversight put into place. It's my understanding that this set of bills makes it a lot more transparent. And in some ways, for good actors, it now sets forward what the expectations would be. It's a lot easier to follow the rules when you have clear rules to follow, right? So this could be bad news for bad actors, but it could also be good news for good actors because they know what the rules and expectations are. And I think Senator DeMoose brought it up. By constantly changing the rules, that makes it unpredictable. And that can be hard for businesses to accept if they're like, okay, well, if these are the current rules, and these are the rules you're going to change to, how do we know in 2 years that you're not going to change to these rules? Businesses and companies, stock markets, they like predictability, right? So I think that makes it, that is a concern as well of how often are we going to be changing rules?
So then where do these bills stand today?
Well, this week they were in committee, so there was testimony heard and everything like that. They have a long ways to go. And if you look at past success of similar kind of bills, it may be an uphill battle for the lawmakers. They would go through the Senate process where they would get out of committee. They would then go to the floor for reading. There would be debate. The House the House is working on a similar version, but the two legislative bodies would have to get together, come up with a final version, and then it would have to go on to the governor's desk. That is a process. And this legislature right now down in Lansing, not voting on a lot of bills.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether they're controversial bills or not. There's not a lot getting through right now. So it could be something that we watch for a while.
And we will continue to watch the progress of those bills and keep you folks at home updated on where things go from here. But Mark, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us a little more information on that story. We do need to take a quick commercial break, but we'll bring back in our Chief Meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix, for a look at your Friday forecast and Father's Day weekend straight ahead.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, it's been nice to have a couple dry and somewhat sunny days, but Friday and Saturday could be a little different. Let's turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Joe Charleboy. Hey, Joe.
Yeah, tomorrow kind of cloudy for much of the year. I think a little sun south, so maybe a little sun there. But yeah, there is some rain coming in, and then even into next week. But I think we're going to wedge in between all that Father's Day dry, hopefully. So if we have, I guess if you pick the next 5, 6, 7 days, Father's Day might as well be the one, right?
Might as well. Yep. For all you dads
or for
out
what
there.
you have planned, maybe.
No.
Maya has a lot of plans this weekend.
Outdoor
She's
plans.
she's been asking about the rain. I do feel bad because it is that way when you have plans and you try to avoid the rain. But we'll see. Sunshine. Let's take a look on Mackinac Island. A nice day. Still kind of blue skies there. It's 64 degrees. Good visibility. Tomorrow, though, that's a spot that could deal with more of a rain all day. So 3 big things. Some rain tomorrow. More steady north, mainly north of Gaylord. A lot less as you head south. So if you're tuned in there around Ludington, Everett, maybe more in the way of showers. Those showers will linger into Saturday, mostly cloudy, but it does appear dry on Father's Day. And then active weather will hang on. We have systems into next week with the jet stream pretty close by. Here is a look at the wide range. By the way, look at these huge thunderstorms going up here in parts of South Dakota into Nebraska. By the way, you see Valentine there? Spent the night there once. Valentine, Nebraska. True story. Anyway, back in Wisconsin, we have some rain, and this is what's gradually inching closer to us. But it's still several hours away. And here's what that looks like. Showers getting in here late tonight. Tomorrow, there's the rain. But notice if you look at this map, more of the green rain on this map is north of Gaylord. South of there, again, more in the way of showers and maybe even a little sunshine peeking through. Might be a decent day around Ludington, but you're looking at a soggy one there around Mackinac Island, for instance, or Drummond Island. There's the rain tomorrow evening, continuing up north. Then this will move out of here. And then we still expect some showers on Saturday. So there's, Saturday morning into the afternoon. Yeah, a chance for some showers will kind of hang on. So here's a look at the weekend forecast, more specifically scattered showers, 62 to 72 on Saturday. And then Sunday, partly to mostly cloudy, but seasonable with temperatures in the 70s. Extended forecast. There it is. Saturday, a few showers, but Sunday is Father's Day. Highs in the 70s. Warmer next week, but again, chances for some showers and some storms.
And Joe, before we let you go, I have a non-weather question to ask you. We talked about this earlier. What is your favorite Beach Boys song?
There's a few, but I have to go with, and our boss didn't like this one as much, but Kokomo. Right?
That's a good one. I love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that was a little later, I think it was late 80s, but yeah. What's yours?
Kokomo's a good one. Good Vibrations is so good. There are
Right.
so many good ones. And that actually is our question of the day. And big thanks to Joe for suggesting that we add Kokomo to the list, because at first it wasn't on there. But of course, the whole world music community, everyone is still mourning the death of Brian Wilson, the leader of the Beach Boys. So we just wanted to know what your favorite Beach Boys hit is. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. You can also head over to our website, UpNorthLive.com. You can vote there, and you can leave a comment on our Facebook page as well. We will check out those results at the end of the show. But coming up in just a couple of minutes, we are going to check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe. Some pretty exciting news for Northern Michigan baseball. That's straight ahead. Well, if you haven't heard the news by now, Traverse City St. Francis's baseball team will be competing in the Division III championships. Our sports director, Harrison Beebe, was in East Lansing as they won the semifinal today. Harrison, what was it like being there?
Yeah, Maya, I'm kind of doing like what the team's doing. They're going to have 48 hours in between the championship game and the semifinals. So they came back to Traverse City. You might be watching this program right now, actually. As a matter of fact, they're going to head back tomorrow to play in the title game at 9 a.m. Saturday. That's what I'll be doing a little tomorrow as well. I'll be covering those softball semifinals that we have. So shaping up to be a pretty busy few days here at Michigan State, but that's usually the case for the spring sports. We usually have several baseball and softball teams in action. St. Francis, Maya, I don't know what it is, but they just know what to do in the semifinals. I don't want to speak poorly of other Northern Michigan baseball teams, but usually when they get to the state semifinals, they seem to come up against an opponent that's a little tougher to beat, and they tend to bow out. But St. Francis is now 3 for 3 in making state titles in the past 8 seasons. 2017 and 2021, they won in the semifinals. They both lost in the championship games. This team is looking like a pretty good bet for Saturday state finals, though. Grosse Pointe University Liggett, the team they beat today, that was the highest ranked team left in the field of the Final Four, and the St. Francis Glads were the second highest ranked team. So they're going up against a team that isn't even ranked. Not to say they won't get a win, but St. Francis no doubt has a lot to play for on Saturday.
All week we were like, they're a really good team, but we're a really good team too. And I think we had a really good shot, and we obviously won. So, yeah, first time we beat Liggett here, so that's great.
We're not the underdogs. Like, we're good enough as they are, and we just wanted to hit the ball, I guess. We want it bad. We don't want to get second place again.
What a great baseball game. Liggett is a program that we modeled ourselves after when we started 10, 12 years ago. And to beat them in this situation when we could have folded is a great credit to our program.
Sorry to cut you off there, Maya, but at 9 a.m. Saturday against Marine City, that'll be the championship game for Division III baseball.
All right. Thank you so much, Harrison. Big congrats to the Glads and good luck this weekend. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll check out those question of the day results coming up next.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Yesterday, a very sad day for the music community as Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82. And if you're like me, when you found out the news, you've just been playing Beach Boys music nonstop. There are so many good hits. So we wanted to know what your favorite song is. It looks like Wouldn't It Be Nice is leading the way with 30% of the vote, followed by Good Vibrations, and then Kokomo. But it's all pretty close, as you can tell. It's hard to pick one. It's kind of like our question of the day yesterday when it comes to your favorite type of cheese or your favorite type of song. It's so hard to pick one. But thanks so much for everyone who voted on our poll. And we have a lot of comments on Facebook that I don't have time to get to, but feel free to leave your comment there as well. That'll do it for Unscripted tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11.